Yeah, it says this is from the Hill News. It says HHS buys 66 million doses of updated Moderna V for early fall campaign. Right. So this was up 11 hours ago. The Biden administration announced it is buying, right, which basically saying that they're buying the 66 million doses of the updated Moderna. So, call Loyum Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who do well. Salutations to the Akim in the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking their lives more now than ever. The hopeful elect, the elect, Shalom to the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel and have come back to the fold. Shalom to you sisters and you Aquathium that listen and learn under your husband or your spiritual leader in silence and meekness. Yeah, this your brother Ram Yahweh with the lesson. It says the healthcare, the White House to launch up to date, CV19 booster campaign in what? September, right? All right, the White House is moving ahead with plans to launch CV19 campaign in September using the model for the Omicron, right? So these are the times that we're in, man. It's gonna get worse, and which got to be the reason why, they're today. What is this? July 20. Was it the 29th? Friday, July 29th. They passed a law on the assault rifles. See, because things are going to get really, really testy, right? Which is going to go into. Oh, matter of fact. Yeah. Job 13 verse 4, and then really what these people are going to realize that these people are, but ye are forgers of lies. They're going to figure as they're creating it up, and ultimately that's even what doctor means. Doctor means to falsify, right? Ye are all physician of no value because they're not really physicians. And the people who's woke is gonna understand that. And the people, you're gonna have the what are they saying? Now there's a polarization everywhere in the world. You got these people having these opinions, but it's strongly opinionated to the point that war or some type of violence can break out at any moment. In fact, let's look up that forger.
Strong's age 2950. Tafel.
To smear. Was it plaster over, right? To cover it up. Plaster over. Stick glue. Yeah, that's what they're doing. You had the CV19, then the so-called this thing, then another thing, then another thing, and another thing. and they're throwing things like glue, trying to see if it sticks, right? And you're gonna realize that, but it's gonna be too late. Sirach 38 and 3, or Ecclesiasticus, right? The skill of a physician shall lift up his head, right? Because physicians that have no value, they have no reason to lift up their head. But a lot of them still have so-called pride, and then you have people who have nonsense pride in them, right? Because they haven't healed really anything. You know what I mean? It's all BS. They ain't did nothing on a level where everybody just knows that. Whoa, they healed. You know what I mean? Right? So they have no reason to lift up their head. But a skilled physician shall lift up his head, and in the sight of great men he shall be in admiration. The Lord Yahweh have created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them. See, and your physicians that have no value, they abhor the medicines of the earth, right? They don't get into that, right? Their whole thing is their medical practice, really, or malpractice, really. It's not really feasible for them to actually heal you or to make you better. It's just to give you enough where it kind of takes away the pain, but you got to come back for more drugs. They're drug dealers, basically. You know what I mean? So, in the name of so-called science, in the name of so-called they care, these are the actions they're going to take. They're going to use medical as a guise to get you into this. So the Lord created the medicine out of the earth, and he is whether will not abhor them. Was not the water made sweet with wood, right? Because Moses took a tree and put it into the water, and it made the water drinkable, which they know that now. You could do was it pine cones, and you run the water through pine cones, and it'll make bitter water sweet, well drinkable, should I say, right? Contaminated water drinkable, right? Through the pine cones. And also, they're going into that water crisis, and they have a machine that literally can pump ocean water and turn it into drinkable water, right? Because they're talking about doing that in Israel, right? Taking that machine, pumping the water from the ocean into the Galilee River, or to the Lake of Galilee, or River of Galilee, right? So they have the technology, but they're going to tell you, oh, well, too bad, so sad. You're not going to have electricity, and you're not going to have water. So not only now you not have physicians of no value, you got politicians of no value. You got mayors and governors of no value. You got a president, you got a country and a state, and you're going to have money of no value real soon. That the virtue thereof may be known, right? It's going to be known that you healed and you this and that, because everybody's going to be like, oh my God, I got to go to this guy because I'm being healed, right? Not just drugged. It says, and he have given men, who's he? Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, given men skill that he might be honored, right? And Dr. Sebe had that, but then his whole thing was he was never really giving credit to the Most High. So that's why the Most High let them take him out. Because if he would have given more credit to the Most High, you mean more than he was giving to the woman, he was giving the woman more credit. You know what I mean? His God was the woman too. You know? Honor in his marvelous works, right? Because the Lord created the medicines out of the earth. Those are the Lord's marvelous works, which such doeth he heal men. You're supposed to be in a position to be able to heal men and take away their pain. And ultimately, they don't do that. They don't take away your pain. They don't take away your AIDS, your cancers, your HPVs. They don't take away that stuff. You know what I mean? Your herpes, all the other stuff. They most likely they got the cure. I mean, you don't have the Center of Disease Control and don't and don't have the cure. You know what I mean? Yes, is the Hill News, right? It says House passed bill to ban assault rifles. You know what I mean? Michael, whatever the 7/29/2022, which was today. It says House on Friday passed bill to ban assault rifles, securing a significant victory for Democrats following a spate of mass shootings across the country and making the first time lawmakers have approved a prohibition on the popular firearm in more than 2 decades. All right, so it's dealing with today, and they so-called, it was 217 to 213. Yeah, so it cleared. But what this is going to bring is they're getting ready to push this thing that they care about your health, and what it's going to bring is Egyptian against Egyptian, right? So that's the thing is going to be bringing, because you're going to see that so far America has not went into full protest, or actually really understanding what's really going on and how you're really not free, basically. And these elites have basically sold you out, and the people who, it's going to go into, what is it? They should not regard their princes, or they should not regard their, their lawmakers. Second Esdras 15. Matter of fact, let's get into that. Yeah, so this is Second Esdras chapter 15, verse 14. Woe, which means weeping, gnashing of teeth, destruction, death, anguish, judgment, basically, to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands, for there shall be sedition amongst men, and invading one another, right? They shall not regard their kings nor princes. See, and that's basically what I was talking about, because that's the time that is coming in, that they're not going to regard their kings or their princes, because what? They're going to be pushing this agenda as if they care about your health, and the people who's not fully asleep, and it's gonna cause an uprising. It's going to cause the Egyptian against the Egyptian, the vaccinated against the non-vaccinated, the people who took the full 5, 6, 7, 8, 12 boosters against the people who's like, nah, we not having it. Plus the rising of the gas and this and that and so on and so forth, the food cost, the living cost. It's basically a perfect storm for chaos, right? Which is ultimately what they're gonna do. You know what I mean? You know, so, and then people are not gonna regard their kings nor princes, and the cause of their actions shall stand in their power, right? And ultimately, the government has the power. They could do certain things, or really the elite. The Rothschilds, the Bilderbergs, the DuPonts, the Gettys, the Oppenheimers. You know what I'm saying? The so-called, these so-called elites. These, the ones who the puppet masters. The one who really control this thing. I mean, they're in the trillions of dollars. They can literally spend a little bit of money and still really be very, very wealthy. All that they can make the world's problem go away overnight, right? But that's not the thing, man. You got to move towards the new world order, move towards the digital chipping, right? The tag, the charagma, the mark of the beast, right? So, then I gotta regard their kings nor princes, because people gonna know, man. That stuff is all fake. Fauci is fake. That stuff, all that is all BS, man. And the action, the cause of their action shall stand in their power, and a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. And ultimately, what? That's going to cause what? Martial law, because guess what? Chaos. Once chaos comes, right? Then brings what? Order out of what? Martial law, locking it down. Now you could dictate. Well, there's so many shootings, blah blah blah. We're locking down this and that. Oh, we have this and that. Look, in order for you to have this, you need to have this type of because when they already doing that about the identifications, because they was already trying to do that pretty much in trying to bring in a new way to identify you, right? Which is ultimately going to go into the charagma, right? Ultimately, with all the fighting, really, because you're gonna find out that your physicians, right, have no value. You're gonna realize your money has no value. Your so-called elected officials had no value, and now all the things that you work for all these years, there's no value to it. So it's just gonna cause what? The burden of Egypt, which America is spiritually Egypt, which really the world is at this point, because it's under that vibration of Esau Edom, right? Because a lot of these holidays and the things that they worship and they hold tight to goes back to Egypt or Babylon or the Canaanites, and really ultimately everybody, they're getting away from the dollar, but you still kind of have to use the dollar because it's the world reserve currency. So you still kind of got to deal with the dollar. And everybody, even prior to this, of them trying to get away from the dollar has what? The pyramid on the back of it. So you're all dealing in with Egypt, right? Which is America. So the whole world is really going to go through this burden of Egypt. But the main Egypt that it's talking about spiritually is what? America. Right? The burden of Egypt, behold, which means look, pay attention, feast your eyes upon. The Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, right? And the Lord, what did he say in Isaiah 6? He said, the Lord coming from Basra, right? And that's Egypt. He's riding on that swift cloud, which is the chariots, what they call UFOs, or it was a UAPs, unidentified flying phenomenon, right? Or what's the other one? Aerial phenomenon. Yeah, whatever, however you want to quote it, UFOs, whatever you want to do. But it's really the chariots or the vehicles of the angels, right? And that's what the Lord's coming in. A swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, which mostly is dealing with America, but the whole world really at this point. And the idols of Egypt shall be removed at his presence, and the hearts of the Egyptians shall melt in the midst of it. Right? You're gonna be afraid, man. What it's saying, Revelations 1:7. It says the whole world shall see him, and the nations, or it says the kindreds of the earth shall mourn because of him. Right? Right. So all you nations are gonna be mourning because when you see the Lord, and I will set the Egyptian, right? Because the Lord said, think not that I come for peace. What? But I come rather what? With division. And so it's going to be what? I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptian, right? So really, it's going to be all these different, the rich against the poor against each other, and just, so-called racial, whatever they want to come up, whatever reason think to mind to just kill you. That's what it's going to come. It'll be a racial issue, might be a food issue. It might just because they got issues. It doesn't matter. But it's the Egyptian is going to be against the Egyptian, and they shall fight one another against his brother, and against one another, his neighbor, a city against a city, a kingdom against a kingdom. And that's going into the world. That's what I'm saying. It's literally from your neighborhood into the world. Because a kingdom, like America, would be considered a kingdom. Russia is a kingdom. Then you got Israel, right? Because they're going against, they don't like Iran, but Iran is going to get backed up because they're the Persian. They're going to be backed up by Russia. So all this thing is going to spiral out into what? That kingdom against kingdom, right? So it's going to be all sorts of fighting in the entire world, right? And the spirit of the Egypt shall fail, right? And it's failing now, right? Because just like ancient Egypt, remember when Joseph kept the seven years of plenty, and there were going to be 7 years of famine, and that had to be a very prosperous place to go. In the time that the whole world was in famine, and the whole world had no choice but to go to Egypt and give their riches unto Egypt at that time. And at one point in time, that was America. No one had a choice but to come to America and get the things that you really wanted to get, the things that were, But then slacked off. They started sending their car imports across the seas, putting their things elsewhere. So now all your imported things come from China. Oh wait, America's beefing with China, right? So that's another kingdom against the kingdom. So now you got all these different things. So what? And so now that spirit where everybody had to come to America, now no one wants to come to America. And the spirit of the Egypt shall fail, and in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the council, which their council is already being destroyed. Because look who's in office in Egypt. Biden. His council is all, man, your council is all messed up. You know what I mean? Thereof, and they shall seek to the idols, right, and to the charmers, yeah, right, and to them that have familiar spirits, right, and to wizards, right. That's what the Lord said. Go to your prognosters and your and see if it be so that if you could be saved. And basically that's what it's saying. And again, that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna go and you're gonna try to see if you could be saved, and you cannot. And Egypt and the Egyptians will I give over into the hands of a cruel Lord, right, which is going to be Yahushai, and fierce king shall rule over them, saith Yahweh, saith the Lord, Yahweh of hosts, yeah, which means armies. Yeah, so this is Revelation chapter 16, verse 1. And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, go your way and pour out the vials of the wrath of power, which is Yahweh, upon the earth. And the first went and poured out his vow upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore, right, which is going to be upon you when it's too late. When they cut on that 5G or whatever the hell they finna do, and open up CERN and whatever, all those other things that they're doing, it's going to be too late. You're going to get the charagma. You're going to have a grievous sore. You're going to know that they were physician of lies, right? Of no value. You know what I'm saying? They were forgers of lies and physicians of no value upon the men which had the mark of the beast upon them which worship his image. And that's ultimately what's going to happen, man. That's when it's going to be too late. And you're going to know that there were prophets among you, but it's going to be too late. So, basically it's going to be too late. And then, you're going to have to be a victim of this, Revelations 14 and 9. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man or woman, right, dealing with mankind, worship the beast and his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh, all right, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. Indignation goes into righteous anger, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, which is Yahweh Shai, right? And it's going to be with them ICBM missiles, man, right? And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rests day nor night, who worshipped the beast and his image, right? From the ICBM missiles, man. Because, it's not going to be just as simple as, you getting burnt up and you die and then everything's okay. The Lord's going to make time like it's slow. You know what I'm saying? So when you're burning in the ICBM missiles, man, it's going to seem like day and night has passed and night and day, like you're just being tormented in this, right? Right? Because the lake of fire, which is going to be America, you're going to be part of that, man. Because all in the name of medical science, you're going to be part of that lake of fire. You're going to be burning and tormented night, no rest day or night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Yeah, right. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that kept the what? Commandments of Yahweh power and the faith of Yahweh Shai, man. And that's ultimately what it's coming down to. The elect, or the chosen, or the wheat versus the chaff, or the wheat versus because it said the Lord said that an enemy has put thorns, or you have the wheat and the tares. So there's going to be the separation of the wheat and the tares, right? Yeah, I want to give all praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Ruach HaKodesh. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to the Akim and the four winds preaching in truth and sincerity, risking their lives more now than ever. The hopeful elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel and have come back to the fold. Shalom to you sisters, you Akwathium, who listen and learn under your husband or your spiritual leader in meekness and in silence. Shalom, and death to America.